I've got major news today about a groundbreaking lawsuit that could change everything for gun owners across America. This case could finally end state bans on suppressors and make them legal in every single state. Let me break down exactly what's happening and why this matters so much. Congress recently passed a massive bill that changed the rules on suppressors. For decades, if you wanted to buy a suppressor, you had to pay a $200 tax to the federal government under the National Firearms Act. But that just changed. The new law dropped that tax from $200 down to $0. That's right, no more tax. This change is already in effect right now. Now, you might think that's problem solved, but it's not that simple. Even though the federal tax is gone, there are still major restrictions in place. You still have to register your suppressor with the government and go through a transfer process. And worst of all, several states have completely banned suppressors, making it illegal to own them at all. Here's the thing. Getting rid of that $200 tax is huge. It's going to make suppressors affordable for millions of Americans who couldn't justify spending that extra money before. We're about to see suppressor ownership explode across the country. But what about people living in states like New Jersey, California, New York, and several others? In those states, suppressors are completely banned. It doesn't matter if the federal tax is $0. You still can't legally own one. That's where this new lawsuit comes in. A group called the Second Amendment Foundation, along with regular citizens, has filed a major lawsuit against the state of New Jersey. The case is called Padua versus Plotkin. Their goal is simple but powerful: strike down New Jersey's ban on suppressors and set a precedent that could eliminate suppressor bans nationwide. Think about that for a second. If this lawsuit succeeds, it won't just help people in New Jersey. It could open the door for challenges in California, New York, Massachusetts, and every other state that bans these devices. The lawyers bringing this case are using a smart strategy. They're taking that new $0 tax change and using it as leverage. Here's their argument. The federal government itself has admitted suppressors are protected by the Second Amendment. This happened in another case called the Peterson case, where the Trump Department of Justice said suppressors are protected arms, meaning they fall under your constitutional right to keep and bear arms. But it gets better. The Trump DOJ didn't just say suppressors are protected, they also said that banning them outright, whether by the federal government or by states, would be unconstitutional. So the lawyers are essentially saying to New Jersey, your own federal government admits these are constitutionally protected. You can't ban them. Period. There's another powerful part of their legal argument. Under Supreme Court precedent, the government generally can't ban firearms or firearm accessories that are in common use by law-abiding citizens. So are suppressors in common use? Absolutely. The lawsuit points out that suppressors have been legal and widely used for over 100 years. They're currently legal in the vast majority of states, almost every state in the Union. Millions of Americans own them for hunting, sports shooting, and protecting their hearing. And here's the kicker. Now that the federal tax is gone, suppressor ownership is going to skyrocket. More people than ever will be buying them, which makes the common use argument even stronger. The lawsuit even points out that suppressors are commonly used around the world. Many countries don't even regulate them at all. In some places, they're considered basic safety equipment, like hearing protection. The plaintiffs are asking the court for two main things. First, they want the court to declare that New Jersey's suppressor ban violates the Second Amendment. Second, they want the court to permanently block New Jersey from enforcing this ban, meaning New Jersey's government officials couldn't arrest anyone, charge anyone, or prosecute anyone for owning a suppressor. If the court agrees, people in New Jersey would finally have the same rights as people in most other states. So how did New Jersey respond to this lawsuit? Not well. Instead of actually defending their ban on the merits, New Jersey is trying to get the case thrown out on technical grounds. They're basically saying the lawsuit doesn't count, that the plaintiffs don't have the right to sue, and that the court shouldn't even look at whether the ban is constitutional. In their response, New Jersey keeps saying things like, "We deny any constitutional violation occurred," without actually explaining why their ban should be legal. They're asking the judge to dismiss the case immediately without even looking at the facts or the constitutional arguments. That's a defensive position that suggests they might not have strong arguments to actually defend their ban. This New Jersey lawsuit is just one part of a bigger strategy. There are actually multiple lawsuits happening right now that are all related to the NFA and suppressors. Down in Texas, groups like Gun Owners of America have filed separate lawsuits challenging the remaining federal restrictions, the registration requirements, and transfer processes that are still in place even with the $0 tax. Meanwhile, this New Jersey case is attacking state-level bans. It's a coordinated, two-front attack. One front targets federal restrictions, the other targets state bans. Together, they could completely change the legal landscape for suppressors in America. Maybe you're thinking you don't live in New Jersey, so why should you care? Here's why. If this lawsuit succeeds, it creates a precedent. That means other states with suppressor bans, like California, New York, Illinois, and Massachusetts, would face similar challenges, and those bans would likely fall too. Imagine living in California right now. You see people in Texas, Florida, and most other states enjoying that new $0 tax, buying suppressors without the old financial barrier. But you can't participate because your state has banned them entirely. That's not fair. That's not equal protection under the law. And that's exactly what this lawsuit is trying to fix. If it succeeds, every American, regardless of what state they live in, would have the same right to own suppressors. That's equality. That's constitutional consistency. Right now, we're in the early stages. The lawsuit has been filed. New Jersey has responded by trying to get it dismissed, and the next step is for the court to decide whether to hear the case or throw it out. If the court agrees to hear it, we'll see arguments from both sides. Evidence will be presented, expert witnesses might testify, and eventually a judge will make a decision. That decision could go all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. And given how important this issue is, that wouldn't be surprising. Here's something interesting to watch for. The Trump Department of Justice might jump into this case. Remember, the Trump DOJ already said in the Peterson case that they believe suppressors are constitutionally protected and can't be banned. If they truly believe that, this New Jersey case would be the perfect opportunity to prove it. The Trump DOJ could file what's called an amicus brief, basically a friend of the court document supporting the plaintiffs. They could argue alongside the lawsuit that New Jersey's ban is unconstitutional. That would be huge, because having the federal government on your side in a constitutional case adds tremendous weight to your arguments. This is a critical moment for gun rights in America. The $0 NFA tax was a major victory, but it's incomplete as long as state bans exist. This lawsuit represents the next phase of the fight. It's about making sure every American has equal rights, regardless of what state they call home. Suppressors aren't dangerous weapons. They're safety devices that protect your hearing. They're in common use, they're constitutionally protected, and they shouldn't be banned anywhere in this country. The outcome of this case could reshape gun rights across America. It deserves our attention, our support, and our hope that justice will prevail.